The water is black, silent. 30 feet below the surface, something massive moves through the darkness. 6 tons of muscle and bone, gliding with the grace of a shadow. Above, the crowd cheers, unaware that in less than 3 minutes their entertainment will become their nightmare. Savannah Calloway adjusts her wetsuit one final time. The 28-year-old trainer has done this routine 1,000 times before. She trusts Nova. She loves Nova. But love means nothing to a creature that was never meant to live in a concrete box. The clock reads 2:47 p.m. In the depths below, something is changing. Something dark. Something that will shatter the illusion of marine park magic forever. This is the story of when nature reclaimed what was never ours to take. They call them killer whales, but that name is a lie. Orcas don't kill for sport. They kill for survival, for territory, for family. In the wild, there has never been a single recorded fatality from an orca attack on humans. Never. Not once in recorded history. But in captivity, that's a different story entirely. When you cage the ocean's apex predator, when you strip away everything that makes them whole, their family, their freedom, their purpose, something breaks, something fundamental. And when it breaks, people die. Today, we're going to tell you about Savannah Calloway, about Nova, about the pattern of violence that the marine park industry tried so desperately to hide. This isn't just about one trainer, one whale, one tragic afternoon in Mississippi. This is about what happens when we play God with creatures we'll never truly understand. The water remembers everything. And today, it's going to tell its secrets. Savannah Marie Calloway was born to love the ocean. Growing up in Gulf Shores, Alabama, she spent every summer diving into the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Her mother, Linda, would watch from the shore as her daughter disappeared beneath the waves for what felt like forever, only to emerge with a shell, a piece of coral, or just pure joy painted across her face. She was part mermaid, I swear, Linda would later tell reporters, her voice breaking. The ocean called to her from the day she could walk. At 16, Savannah took her first marine biology class. At 18, she was accepted into Auburn University's Marine Sciences program. At 22, she graduated summa cum laude with one dream burning in her heart: to work with whales. But dreams and reality rarely align perfectly. The research position she wanted required years of experience she didn't have. The conservation jobs paid barely enough to survive. When Aquatic Adventures Marine Park in Biloxi, Mississippi, offered her a position as an assistant trainer, Savannah saw it as a stepping stone, a way to get close to the creatures she'd studied for years. "I can make a difference from the inside," she told her best friend Marcus. "I can help them understand these animals better." Marcus wasn't convinced. He'd seen the documentaries, read the articles about trainer deaths. But Savannah's mind was made up. She moved to Mississippi 3 weeks after graduation, carrying nothing but 2 suitcases and a heart full of hope. Aquatic Adventures wasn't SeaWorld, but it tried to be. The park sprawled across 43 acres of what used to be marshland, featuring 3 main tanks connected by underwater tunnels. The largest tank, where the shows happened, held 2.8 million gallons of chlorinated seawater. It sounds impressive until you realize that in the wild, an orca's territory can span hundreds of miles. Savannah's first day, she met the stars of the show. There was Tsunami, a 30-year-old female who'd been captured off the coast of Iceland as a calf. Her dorsal fin, once proud and straight, now curved to one side, a sign of psychological stress that occurs in 100% of captive male orcas and 23% of females. Then there was Splash, a 25-year-old male known for his gentle nature and crowd-pleasing tricks. The trainers loved Splash. He was predictable, reliable, safe. And finally, there was Nova. Nova was different. Captured at age 4 from the waters off British Columbia, she'd spent 18 years in captivity. 18 years of concrete walls, artificial lights, and the constant noise of human crowds. She was brilliant. Too brilliant for her own good. She learned routines faster than any whale they'd ever worked with, but she also remembered everything. Every slight, every mistake, every moment of frustration, Nova's got personality. Head trainer Derek Martinez told Savannah on her first day. She'll test you, push boundaries, but if she accepts you, there's no better partner in the water. Derek had worked with Nova for 12 years. He thought he knew her. They all did. To understand what happened that day, you need to understand Nova. Not the performing whale, not the crowd pleaser, but the predator. The creature whose ancestors had ruled the oceans for millions of years. Nova was a transient orca, a member of a pod that hunts marine mammals. In the wild, her family would have traveled 50 to 100 miles per day, diving to depths of 300 feet, communicating in a complex language unique to their pod. They would have hunted together, played together, mourned their dead together. Nova had none of this. At 22 feet long and weighing nearly 8,000 pounds, she possessed a brain 4 times larger than a human's. The emotional processing center of her brain was more developed than ours. She felt grief, joy, frustration, and rage with an intensity we can barely comprehend. And she was alone. The other whales at Aquatic Adventures weren't her family. They spoke different dialects, came from different pods, different oceans. Imagine being locked in a room with strangers who spoke a foreign language, and you'll begin to understand Nova's isolation. Dr. Sarah Chen, a marine mammal behaviorist, had been studying Nova for 3 years before the incident. Her reports, later released during the investigation, painted a troubling picture. Nova exhibits classic signs of zoochosis, repetitive behaviors indicative of psychological distress. She swims in tight circles for hours, grinding her teeth against the concrete walls until they're worn to nubs. She floats motionless at the surface, a behavior never observed in wild orcas. Most concerning, she's begun to show aggression toward trainers during what should be routine interactions. The park's management dismissed Dr. Chen's concerns. Shows went on. Tourists kept coming, Nova kept performing. But inside that massive brain, something was breaking down. The incident started small. In January, Nova refused to participate in a show, floating at the bottom of the tank despite Derek's commands. The audience was told it was technical difficulties. In March, she grabbed trainer Jennifer Walsh's wetsuit during a routine medical examination, holding her underwater for nearly 30 seconds. Jennifer managed to break free, but the incident shook her badly. "Something's changed," Jennifer told Derek after the incident. "She's not the same whale. There's something in her eyes now, something angry." Derek dismissed her concerns. Nova had always been moody, he said. It was just a phase. By May, the warning signs were impossible to ignore. Nova had rammed the tank walls 3 times during shows, sending massive waves over the stadium seating. She'd refused to eat for 4 days straight. During training sessions, she would position herself between trainers and the exit, a behavior that sent chills down the spine of anyone who understood orca psychology. Dr. Chen recommended suspending Nova's participation in shows immediately. She suggested moving the whale to a sea pen, where she could experience some semblance of natural behavior, while still remaining in captivity. The park's insurance company was less diplomatic. They threatened to cancel coverage if Nova continued to perform with trainers in the water. But shows were scheduled. Tickets were sold. The Memorial Day weekend was their biggest moneymaker of the year. Nova would perform. May 29th dawned bright and clear. The temperature hit 89 degrees by noon, and Aquatic Adventures was packed. Nearly 3,000 visitors had come to see the Orca Spectacular, the park's signature show featuring all 3 whales. Savannah arrived at 6 a.m. for the pre-show preparation. She'd been working with Nova intensively for the past month, building toward her debut as the whale's primary trainer during the afternoon show. It was the opportunity she'd been waiting for, her chance to prove herself in front of the biggest crowd of the season. "You ready for this?" Derek asked as they prepared the whale's morning meals. Savannah nodded, but her hands were shaking slightly as she prepared Nova's fish. The whale had been agitated all week, repeatedly logging, floating motionless at the surface, and showing little interest in training sessions. The morning show at 11 a.m. went smoothly. Nova performed her routine flawlessly, though several trainers noted she seemed distant and mechanical in her responses. She completed her jumps, her spins, her crowd-pleasing splashes, but there was no joy in it, no connection. Dr. Chen watched from the stands, taking notes. Later, she would testify that Nova exhibited profound signs of dissociation during the morning performance. It was like watching someone sleepwalk through their own life, she said. The afternoon show was scheduled for 3 p.m. At 2:30, Savannah entered the water for the pre-show interaction, a routine bonding session, designed to ensure the whale was calm and responsive before the crowd arrived. The water was 72 degrees, crystal clear under the bright stadium lights. Savannah floated on the surface, waiting for Nova to approach. The whale was at the bottom of the tank, nearly 30 feet down, moving slowly in those endless circles that had become her signature behavior. "Come on up, beautiful," Savannah called, slapping the water's surface. "Let's get ready for our big debut." At 2:35, Nova began to rise. 2:35 p.m. Nova surfaces 20 feet from Savannah, closer than usual but not alarming. Savannah reaches out to stroke the whale's rostrum, the area around her nose, a gesture that usually calms Nova. Nova doesn't respond to the touch. 2:36 p.m. Savannah begins the pre-show routine, asking Nova to present her pectoral fin for examination. It's a simple command, one Nova has performed thousands of times. Instead, Nova submerges, disappearing into the dark water below. Derek, watching from the platform, keys his radio. "Control, we might want to push back the show start." Nova's being unresponsive. 2:37 p.m. Nova erupts from the water 6 feet behind Savannah, breaching completely, all 8,000 pounds of her launching into the air like a missile. She crashes back down, sending a massive wave across the tank that nearly knocks Derek off his feet. Savannah is thrown backward by the wave, momentarily disoriented. 2:38 p.m. As Savannah tries to regain her bearings, Nova approaches from below. What happens next will be debated in courtrooms for years to come. Some say it was intentional. Others claim it was playful behavior that went wrong. Nova gently takes Savannah's left arm in her jaws. 2:38 to 30 p.m. The gentleness doesn't last. Nova's grip tightens and she begins to pull Savannah underwater. Not violently, not aggressively, but with the inexorable power of 6 tons of muscle. Savannah doesn't panic at first. She's been trained for this scenario. She goes limp, becoming dead weight, hoping Nova will lose interest and release her. Nova doesn't release her. 2:39 p.m. 30 feet underwater, Savannah tries to signal to Nova using the hand commands she's practiced thousands of times. Nova ignores them all. The whale begins to swim in slow circles, carrying Savannah with her, deeper into the tank. From the surface, Derek can see the dark shape of Nova moving through the water, but he can't see Savannah clearly. He sounds the emergency alarm. 2:39:45 p.m. Savannah's lungs are burning. She's been underwater for over a minute now, and Nova shows no signs of releasing her. For the first time, true panic sets in. She begins to struggle, to fight against Nova's grip. This is a mistake. 2:40 p.m. Nova's response to Savannah's struggling is swift and decisive. The whale's jaws clamp down harder and she begins to shake her head from side to side, the same motion orcas use to stun their prey before consuming it. Savannah's left arm snaps like a twig. 2:40 p.m. The emergency response team reaches the tank's edge. Derek grabs a long pole used for routine medical procedures and begins jabbing at Nova, trying to distract her from Savannah. The whale ignores him completely. Nova has entered what experts call predatory mode. In her mind, Savannah is no longer her trainer, her partner, her friend. She's prey. 2:41 p.m. Nova surfaces, still carrying Savannah, who is now unconscious from oxygen deprivation. For a brief moment, hope flickers among the emergency team. Maybe Nova will release her now that they're at the surface. Instead, Nova tosses Savannah into the air like a seal, catching her again before she can hit the water. 2:41:30 p.m. The second grab is different. Nova's teeth puncture Savannah's wetsuit, piercing her torso in multiple places. Blood begins to cloud the water. that distinctive red that will haunt the nightmares of everyone who witnessed what happened next. 2:42 p.m. Nova takes Savannah to the bottom of the tank and begins the behavior that will make headlines around the world. She starts to consume her trainer. The 911 call came in at 2:43 p.m. This is Aquatic Adventures Marine Park. We have a trainer in the water with an aggressive orca. We need emergency response immediately. Medical, fire, police, send everyone you have. The dispatcher, Linda Morrison, had taken thousands of emergency calls in her 15-year career, but nothing had prepared her for the hysteria in Derek Martinez's voice. "Sir, I need you to stay calm. Is the trainer still alive?" I don't know. The whale has her at the bottom of the tank. There's blood in the water. Oh God, there's so much blood." The first responders arrived within 8 minutes, but 8 minutes in orca time is an eternity. Paramedic James Rodriguez was the first to see the tank, and what he witnessed would require months of therapy to process. The water was red, he later testified. Not pink, not cloudy, red, like someone had dumped paint into the tank. And at the bottom, you could see this massive shadow moving back and forth. Fire Chief Maria Santos made the decision that would haunt her for the rest of her career. They couldn't risk sending divers into the tank while Nova was still agitated. They had to wait for the whale to calm down or for animal control to arrive with sedatives. They waited 18 minutes. When Nova finally surfaced at 3:01 p.m., she no longer had Savannah with her. Diver Lieutenant Michael Chen entered the tank at 3:15 p.m., accompanied by 2 marine mammal specialists who kept Nova distracted at the far end of the tank. What he found at the bottom would become evidence in one of the most controversial legal cases in marine park history. Savannah's body was discovered 30 feet below the surface, wedged between 2 artificial rock formations. The medical examiner's report, sealed for 2 years due to ongoing litigation, painted a grim picture of her final moments. Dr. Patricia Williams, the county coroner, had performed over 3,000 autopsies in her career. She'd seen car accidents, industrial accidents, homicides, and suicides. But nothing had prepared her for the methodical nature of what Nova had done to Savannah Calloway. The injuries are consistent with predatory behavior observed in wild orcas hunting marine mammals, Dr. Williams wrote in her report. The victim suffered massive trauma to the torso and limbs with evidence of consumption. The autopsy revealed that Savannah had drowned within the first 3 minutes of the attack. Everything that happened afterward, the tossing, the shaking, the feeding behavior, occurred after her death. It was small comfort to her family, but comfort nonetheless. Nova, meanwhile, had returned to her normal routine within hours of the incident. She ate her regular evening meal, participated in basic training exercises, and showed no signs of agitation or distress. To Nova, nothing unusual had happened at all. The story exploded across international media within hours. "Trainer eaten alive by orca," screamed headlines from New York to Tokyo. Aquatic Adventures stock price plummeted 67% in pre-market trading the next morning. But this wasn't the first time a captive orca had killed a trainer, and the marine park industry had a well-oiled public relations machine ready to respond. Within 24 hours, the official narrative was established. Savannah's death was a tragic accident caused by trainer error. She had violated safety protocols, they claimed. She had entered the water when she shouldn't have. She had ignored warning signs that any experienced trainer would have recognized. The Calloway family hired attorney Marcus Thompson, a specialist in maritime law who had represented families in previous orca attack cases. His investigation revealed a pattern of cover-ups and negligence that stretched back decades. "This wasn't an accident," Thompson told reporters outside the courthouse. "This was the inevitable result of keeping intelligent social predators in concrete boxes for human entertainment. Savannah Calloway died because an entire industry values profit over human life." The legal battle raged for 3 years. Aquatic Adventures settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, but court documents revealed internal memos showing that park management was aware of Nova's increasing aggression months before the attack. One memo, dated 6 weeks before Savannah's death, was particularly damning. Nova exhibits concerning behavioral changes. Recommend suspending water work until full psychological evaluation can be completed. The memo was signed by Dr. Chen and sent directly to park management. It was never acted upon. As news outlets dug deeper into the story, a horrifying pattern emerged. Savannah Calloway was Aunt Nova's first victim. She was just the most recent in a decades-long history of orca attacks that the marine park industry had tried desperately to hide. In 2009, Alexis Martinez was killed by Cato at Loro Parque in Spain. Like Nova, Cato had shown signs of increasing aggression in the months leading up to the attack. Like Savannah, Alexis was an experienced trainer who loved and trusted his whale. The same year, Dawn Broncho was killed by Tillicum at SeaWorld Orlando. Tillicum had been involved in 2 previous trainer deaths, yet continued to perform with humans in the water. In 2006, Kasatka grabbed trainer Ken Peters and held him underwater for extended periods during a show at SeaWorld San Diego. Peters survived, but only because Kasatka eventually chose to release him. The list went on and on: Shuka, Orchid, Ulysses. Whale after whale exhibiting the same pattern of escalating aggression, the same tragic outcomes. Dr. Lori Marino, a neuroscientist specializing in cetacean intelligence, testified before Congress about the psychological impact of captivity on orcas. "These are not accidents," she stated. "These are the predictable result of keeping highly intelligent, social creatures in environments that drive them to psychosis. We wouldn't keep a human being in solitary confinement for 30 years and expect them to remain stable. Yet that's exactly what we do to orcas." In the years following Savannah's death, her story became mixed with fiction on social media. Viral videos claimed to show actual footage of trainers being attacked by orcas. AI-generated images depicted gruesome scenes that never happened. One particularly persistent hoax involved a fictional trainer named Amy Johnson, supposedly killed by an orca named Storm at a non-existent marine park. The fake story spread faster than the truth, garnering millions of views and shares. The Calloway family was forced to issue repeated statements clarifying that their daughter's death was not entertainment, was not a hoax, and should not be sensationalized by internet trolls seeking viral content. Savannah was a real person, with real dreams, who died in a real tragedy. Her mother, Linda, said in a statement, "She deserves better than to have her memory tainted by fake videos and manufactured outrage." The proliferation of fake orca attack content served to obscure the very real pattern of violence in marine parks, a pattern that continues to this day. Nova still lives at Aquatic Adventures Marine Park, though she no longer performs with trainers in the water. She spends her days swimming in circles, grinding her teeth against concrete walls, floating motionless at the surface. She's been alone now for 6 years since Savannah's death. Splash and Tsunami were transferred to other facilities shortly after the incident. Dr. Chen continues to study Nova's behavior, documenting her decline in detailed reports that park management continues to ignore. In her latest assessment, she wrote, "Subject exhibits profound signs of psychological deterioration. Repetitive behaviors have increased in frequency and intensity. Physical self-harm through wall contact has resulted in permanent scarring. Recommend immediate retirement to Sea Pen facility or sanctuary. The recommendation will not be acted upon. Nova generates too much revenue, even without waterwork. Tourists still pay to see the killer whale that killed a trainer, their morbid curiosity driving ticket sales that fund the very system that created the tragedy." Savannah Calloway dreamed of protecting marine mammals when she was a little girl diving in the waters off Alabama. She believed she could make a difference, could be a voice for creatures that had no voice of their own. In death, she became exactly that. Her story, and the stories of Alexis Martinez, Dawn Broncho, and others, have sparked a global movement questioning the ethics of marine mammal captivity. Laws have been passed, facilities have been closed, public opinion has shifted dramatically away from orca entertainment. But Nova is still there, swimming in circles, waiting for a freedom that will never come. The water remembers everything, and it's still telling its secrets to anyone willing to listen. In the depths of that concrete tank, where Savannah Calloway took her final breath, something terrible remains. Not a monster, not a killer whale, but something far more tragic. An intelligent, emotional creature driven to madness by a system that values entertainment over empathy. Nova didn't choose to be a killer. We made her one. And that truth is more terrifying than any horror story we could ever imagine.